And right there, is anybody that's guy from Snowshoe there, if he's been to any of them, has got any, and the answer to any of these questions, they just sit there and look at you. They won't even answer them the next meeting even.
Okay,
And
Mr. Fleming, in fact, the delay is a good point. When Kermit and I discuss this or others, a good question everyone asks is what would delays cause? Nobody wants that. And I'm not asking for that. That's not what this approach is. But to review what they've done and why you have to do, those aren't have-to ways of doing it. The MBR and the pressurized and the operation and maintenance monies, why are we being burdened with that? I don't understand that fact. And look into that fact. Why are we being burdened to carry that weight? You know, there's no cooling on the system. That was what was being pushed by the opponents of what was being designed previously, but that disappeared. That's not being requested. It was never required. It was being imposed on us, the previous board, to engineer that in there. A lot of things was being thrown. Anything that stuck to the wall was being thrown at it, quite frankly. And it was a little bit unfair playing field. And it was printed in the paper. People just took to be believed as true if a statement was made. You know, the statements I'm making about these costs is true. The SBR is going to be cheaper than MBR, and gravity fed is going to be cheaper than pressurized. We shouldn't be burdened with that. That's all I'm trying to get at here.
Well, thank you.
If you look into it in the PSD and review what they've done, and maybe give some answers why we're paying for something we don't need. If you give me that one answer, that would be those two answers right there on those two items would be great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I guess try to make my final comment on it. That, we're following this issue. It certainly is as long as you gentlemen have. There's been a lot of controversy on the various aspects like cooling and MBRs, and cooling was a request of the trout fishing community in particular. And, if we could afford it, it makes sense. I suppose that the reason it's not in the plan at the moment is because it would just be, in the PSD's estimate, truly too much. They seem to feel at this point that the membrane bioreactor is a good common meeting ground on the interest of both perspectives of the cost versus the environmental aspect. I'm glad that the PSD has gotten their final engineering voted on. They did that unanimously. I'm glad they've applied for the certificate of convenience and necessity. They did that unanimously. And, I'll finish speaking by saying I hope they can break ground soon. Ask Mr. Walker, Mr. Beard for their thoughts regarding your comments.
I can understand both of your all's comments. I've been misled ever since I've been on the commission about this new engineering firm. The project going to be cheaper, and then all these figures come out here. The last was way inflated over what they said in the beginning. I'm disappointed on that. I felt like all along they were misleading it, and I know it's going to fall back on the homeowners to pay for it, and that's not right. I understand your all's, and I understand too what Kermit said about all the pumps and grinders. If you can do it by gravity feed, to me, that seems a whole lot feasible. They claim that the reason they went with pumps, it didn't cost as much laying the lines, which you can lay a lot of lines for what you can pay for pumps and replacing pumps. So I'm disappointed in that aspect, aspect of it, because of the cost. It's just been totally inflated. Since I've been on the board, it's been totally inflated. But I don't want to stop the project in any way. I want to move on. But I think that as a commission, we've been misled too about the cost of the project.
Thank you, Mr. Beard. Mr. Walker?
Well, I had talked to Mr. Beard last night, probably better than an hour. And after I got off the phone to him, I made a couple other phone calls and talked to a few other people that I thought I could get some input from. And as far as the rate goes, and I haven't come up with this perfect yet, but from further conversation last night, I come up with this as the third highest rate in the state. Now, like I say, I don't know that for sure, but I agree it's higher than it should be, regardless. But that's just a point I'd like to present. Then, the thing that I would like to know is, are we trying to stop this project, or are we trying to put it back to a gravity project? And I made a phone call and talked to a gentleman about the price of gravity compared to pressure. And to my surprise, they say initial cost is more expensive for gravity than it is pressurized line. Because of the manholes requirement every 400 feet, you have to have it to where you can shine a light from one manhole to the next manhole, and it's got to be perfectly level. Where with pressure, I guess you can kind of go with the ground, and you don't have as much obstacle to deal with. Surprisingly, I was thinking, you know, gravity's got to be a considerable amount cheaper, but in reality, I think it's more expensive now. And to what point that would be, if we intervene and push for a gravity system, which is what the right-of-way says, or everything's original plan, what's the rate going to be at the end of the day? Is the rate going to be $68 or $75? You know, I mean, are we gaining or losing if the system's going to cost more up front by going gravity than it is if we go pressure? And that kind of bothers me. And until I could see that figure and be a factual figure, I would have a hard time making a decision on that, because we may very well be putting you in worse shape than you're already in, even though I realize a lot of it is maintenance in the future. And with gravity, once it's in, the maintenance is pretty well limited, with the exception of the 2 or 3 or 4 pumps at the bottom of the mountain. But that, you know, it's hard to get factual information that's etched in stone. You know, you get numbers that's estimation, and an estimate never turns out to be what it is at the end of the day. And that's the only thing that concerns me. I agree, the rate is higher than it should be. I wouldn't want to pay it myself, and I'm more than willing to do whatever the public thinks would be the best. But is it better to try to stop the project, or is it better to try to put it back to a gravity system? And I don't know. I mean, I've been on here for 3 years, and nobody's ever laid a figure down that would stay solid for more than about a day's time. I mean, you're saving 10 million one day, you're spending 20 million more the next day. Nothing ever matches and adds up, you know. So it's all estimated cost. That's what bothers me with trying to change something. Until you can get something etched in stone that says, yes, we can do this, and the rate will be $50 a day or $60 a month, then I'd be more than happy to do that. But if we're going to intervene, and at the end of the day we're going to come out with a rate that's $75, what did we gain, you know? That's the only question I have, and I don't know.
A manhole was $2,500. 48-inch manhole. A pump's about $10,000. That's what he was doing.
Right.
Okay.
So originally installation in Kingwood, the gravity feed system is going to be cheaper than the pressure system was. Is that their intent?
Their O&M costs. O&M costs, they're taking them out. They're taking 100 pumps out.
They're already in. They're in the ground.
They're taking them out. They're being in, they're taking them out because the O&M, they think they'll cost, save, it's just too expensive to operate.
The maintenance wise.
The maintenance on the O&M costs on the pump system. And they're taking them out and putting in the gravity feed right now. And they're paying $4,750 just to take them out. That's a key word. So, and that aggravates me a little bit about the PSC in Charleston.
Yeah.
You know, they know this. I mean, they're the one that put this out, proved this, you know. So they know those costs. And so, why are they taking them out up there and putting them in here? You know, why do they want to do that? And so, maybe I can't even see how it'll be cheaper. Because every time you make the code says every time you make a turn on a pressure line, you have to put a clean out. So if you make a radius around a turn, how many changes of directions is that in that turn? I don't understand. Or if you go up like this or down like this, that's a change in a direction. Then how many cleanouts you have to have? If you have to put cleanouts at every change of a direction in a pressure line, there'd be a hell of a bunch of cleanouts down through there, you know, as far as going up and down elevations and going around those turns, you know.
So is them put like in a manhole, for instance, or how do you even, how's that even installed?
A cleanout.
Right.
If they're running a 4-inch line down through there, they put a 4-inch cleanout in it, you know, to stick it up out of the ground.
So they just tee off and bring the clean out to the top of the
I
ground?
understand, yeah, with the sanitary team. So, and as far as that hoe, I mean, that gun big excavator, it don't care if it's digging a 46-inch wide trench and 4 foot deep, or it don't know the difference. And then up on the highway, you have to have flaggers all the time. Down them valleys, you don't have to have flaggers. Pallet cars and stuff. I can't see how it could be cost more to put it in a gravity fed than a pressurized system. I can't see where the pumps, there's 70, what did you say, 71 pumps in the Fonzie, 71 pumps are putting in over there, and 71 pumps times 10,000. There's only manholes up through there. I used to know, and I could look it up, I've got the numbers, but there's not that many manholes up through there every 400 feet in a mile and a half. 60 or even 100 manholes at 2,500 apiece. Versus 71 pumps at $10,000 a piece.
Mr. Creel,
That's my concern.
I appreciate your concern. I'm very sorry for your frustration.
I'm just asking, I feel that the county commission started it, and I would like y'all to look into it and straighten it out. Because we can't afford those rates. Folks, searching money.
Thank you, Mr. Creel.
Probably nobody's complaining.
Mr. Milliken,